The carnival, the treats, the acts, they meant everything to the boy. You see, the carnival is where he grew up. His parents were circus performers, his father a mime, and his mother a fire breather. And as he grew, so did his love for his environment. You see, when he was a boy, he'd frequent it often, going on the rides, trying the treats, and hanging out with the carnies. And, as he got too old for the rides, he decided to get a job there. Simple things. But the life of the carnival, the fame, it called to him in a more special way. So, after years of heavy weightlifting, he decided to become a performer of his own. A strongman. In fact, through being a strongman, he met his wife. Seeing the excitement on the crowd's faces, hearing the cheers, it never got old for the strongman, no. And he could see him doing this for the rest of time. Except, well, as time has it, that sadly never came to be. The carnival closed down shortly afterwards. People just stopped showing up. To say this crushed the strongman, well, it would be an understatement. It destroyed him. He loved the carnival, and he hated to see it go. And so, he fell into alcoholism. His life was wasting away before his own eyes. It seemed that this is how it would be. Just purely exist and drink until he died. But that would soon change one full moon. He went to the pub with his wife. Standard time, drinking, chatting about nothing really. Until a man showed up. Complete stranger. In the small town, nobody recognized him. He wore a large black cloak, and there was something about him, some charm, that his wife found just so seductive. She knew she'd never leave him. She knew she'd always stay by the strong man's side. But, well, maybe she'd make an exception. Just this one time. And she thought he wasn't looking. Her and the beautiful stranger snuck out of the tavern. But the strong man, oh, he knew. He knew well what was happening. Clenched up his fist in rage and followed them out. He could never catch up to them. Not yet. He just followed their footsteps. Till eventually he found the secret meeting place that the man took his wife. The graveyard. And as they were just about to kiss, he yelled out.
Hey!
The strong man, he was seeing red. He punched the man. Punched him again. And again, kicking him to the ground. He beat him into a pulp. No normal man would survive the wrath of the strong man. No. He knew that this man would never be able to look the same. That charm, his handsomeness, he'd be disfigured for life. No normal man could stand up from this. But that's exactly how the strong man found out that the man he beat was no normal man. For as the clock struck midnight, the strong man's angered gaze turned into a look of pure terror and recognition. As a boy, he'd heard tales of local monsters, urban legends, cryptids, and, well, one of them always stood out to him. He was a man, no, not a man, an entity. He'd personify himself as seductive young men to take in women. He'd take them to the graveyards, then make him his brides for eternity. That's right. As the strong man opened his eyes, he was horrified with the realization that standing in front of him was a terror he knew throughout his life to be called the Blackheart. When it comes to things you should never do in life, beating up and pissing off an eternal reaper is pretty high on the list. But this didn't anger the Blackheart. No, it intrigued him. There was something about the strong man that was just so fascinating, so intriguing. The Blackheart had rarely seen any man like this. The courage, the audacity, the strength. He knew that men like this weren't a dime a dozen. The Reaper saw in the strong man what no one else did. And so, the Blackheart, he showed the strong man a deal. He'd grant the strong man one wish, his greatest wish. And in exchange, the Blackheart would take the strong man's wife to become one of his brides, to bear one of his children of darkness. As much as he loved her, the strong man knew that his love for the circus had long outlasted hers. And so, he reached out his hand and accepted the offer. And as the Blackheart took the terrified, betrayed woman, he kissed her on the lips, and the strong man's gaze fell into a blur, and eventually he was consumed into oblivion. However, it wasn't for long, as shortly after he closed his eyes, the strong man woke up, lying on the ground in a forest, with the Blackheart looming over him. But something was different. The strong man didn't recognize this forest. No, he'd never been in it. He'd never even seen anything like it. In fact, the strong man himself, he just didn't feel correct. He felt stronger than he ever was. Larger, taller, more confident, less inferior. And as he looked down, he found that he wasn't even wearing the same clothes he did before. No. In fact, he was adorned in a red jacket with beautiful golden accents. In fact, it took him a few seconds to realize it was a Ringmaster outfit. And as he looked through the tree line to a clearing, he saw something beautiful. A giant carnival with tents and rides. But no, it wasn't any carnival. It was his carnival. The strong man, now the ringmaster of his own three-ringed circus, practically had his name written all over it. The Blackheart let him in, as he realized that this was better than any carnival he's ever seen. And, as he learned, he could expand it at his will. There was a price, of course, but, well, we'll get to that in a bit. This was the greatest carnival he'd ever seen, and he was the leader of it. But there was one small catch. The carnival was deserted, abandoned, not a soul in sight. And, well, what is a carnival without some carnies? I have the feeling that you listening know that there are tons of clowns out there who are, let's just say, bad eggs, murderers, cannibals, even sometimes worse things. This is exactly how the Ringmaster would find his carnies. Whenever a bad clown dies, to put it that way, he finds them, and he takes their souls to the carnival, the Carnevil as it was called now, as a place for them to rest before wreaking havoc on the world once more. The first to join his crew was a tall, gaunt, pale clown. He called himself Grimsley. His crime? Sewing up unsuspecting children into freak show acts when their parents weren't looking. The next to join his Carnevil was a giant brute who could only be called a clown due to the grease paint on his face. By all other means, he was a monster with insatiable hunger. And not to mention the many more that joined after that. Of course, no deal with an ancient entity has no strings attached. As well, in order to pay his rent for the Carnevil, the Ringmaster needed to obtain one source of payment for the Blackheart. Souls. The souls of children. However, when you have a full carnival of bloodthirsty bozos who are willing to do anything for you, getting a few dead kids, it's not much of an issue, especially when you have trusted henchmen such as Skeevy and Chatters. They kidnap a variety of children from across the globe, bring them to the Ringmaster for him to kill and use their souls to feed the Carnevil, to grow for eternity and spread his reign of terror. To this day, awful clowns are still born, awful clowns keep dying, and awful clowns keep showing up to grow the Carnevil. The Carnevil will be eternal. It'll last till the end of time, till the end of the human race. And so, let it be known, if you ever see any suspicious clowns in the woods who look just a little bit off, you really would be the best off not following them